So go ahead and look down at your wireless mouse for a second. I mean, it looks pretty simple, right? Just a piece of plastic. But today, we're totally tearing it apart. We're going to reveal the hyper-fast microscopic computer hidden inside and decode this invisible secret language it uses to communicate. We honestly take this whole no-cord thing completely for granted. You move your hand over here and literally, instantaneously, the cursor tracks over there. It's wild. Behind that smooth plastic shell is an absolute masterclass in low-latency technology. It's operating without wires, without any magic spells, just pure science seamlessly turning your physical movement in the real world into precise digital action on your screen. Today, we are going to crack open the exact science of how this actually functions. We'll be taking a chronological journey together, tracking just a tiny little bundle of data, from the exact millisecond your hand twitches, through the microscopic processing inside the device, all the way to the moment those pixels actually change on your monitor. It's this incredibly fascinating, invisible language that's all working in mere milliseconds. Okay, so a lot of people think the computer just somehow magically knows where the mouse is, but the truth is way cooler. Your mouse is actually a high-speed photographer. Underneath, there's this optical engine acting as a microscopic camera, complete with a light source, lenses, and a CMOS sensor. Now, your desk might look perfectly flat to you, but to this tiny camera, it's illuminated like the surface of the moon. It's just absolutely full of microscopic bumps, scratches, and little texture patterns. And the sheer scale of this photography is it's mind-blowing. That tiny CMOS sensor camera isn't just snapping a picture here and there. No, it captures anywhere between 1,500 and a staggering 10,000 frames every single second. 10,000. Imagine a camera flashing 10,000 times before you can even blink. That is exactly what's happening, literally millimeters below your fingertips as you slide that mouse across the pad. So what does it actually do with all those thousands of photos? Well, it feeds them into an internal brain called a digital signal processor, or DSP. As you move the mouse, the DSP rapidly analyzes and compares these sequential images. So if picture B shows those little microscopic bumps shifted slightly to the left compared to picture A, the DSP instantly calculates exactly how far you moved. It's translating physical space into exact digital math coordinates, giving us a delta X and a delta Y. But hey, moving around is only half the battle, right? What happens when you actually press a button or roll the scroll wheel? Well, right underneath your fingers are these tiny electronic switches, micro switches, along with a mechanical or optical encoder for the wheel. When you physically press down to click, you are actually closing a tiny electrical circuit on the board. You're letting a split-second burst of electricity flow right through to register that action. The mouse then takes all of these ingredients, so your movement math, your click circuits, your scroll wheel increments, and it bundles them all up together. It creates a tiny digital packet called a data packet. You can kind of think of this packet as an ultra-fast digital postcard that's just shouting to the computer, hey, move 4 spaces to the right, 2 spaces up, and oh, the user just left-clicked. Now, you might be wondering, how does that postcard actually get to the computer without a wire? Well, it hitches a ride on invisible Bluetooth radio waves. Specifically, it travels through the air on the 2.4 gigahertz ISM band. But here is the problem. That is a super crowded radio highway. Your mouse is sharing the exact same frequency space as your home Wi-Fi, your smart TV, your video game controllers, and yes, even your microwave oven. If they all shout at the exact same time, the signals just crash into each other. So, to defend your data against all that heavy traffic, and to keep your cursor from, freezing or lagging and all that noise, Bluetooth uses this brilliant defense strategy called frequency hopping spread spectrum, or FHSS. It uses a pseudo-random code generator and a frequency synthesizer to constantly mix and shift the signal around. It's effectively dodging any interference on the fly, making sure your signal doesn't crash on that crowded highway. And the speed of this defense strategy? It's absolutely staggering. Instead of staying on one single vulnerable radio channel, the mouse and the computer dynamically hop across 79 different individual radio channels, up to 1,600 times every single second. Yeah, 1,600 times. They do this in a synchronized pattern. So if one channel suddenly has too much static from, say, your microwave, the mouse has already jumped to a clean channel way before your brain can even register a delay. Of course, absolutely none of this works without establishing some trust first. Before your mouse can control the computer, they have to perform a digital handshake. We usually just call this pairing. During pairing, they exchange cryptographic keys to ensure the connection is completely secure and encrypted. That way, your neighbor can't just casually intercept or snoop on your clicks. Once they're connected, they use the Human Interface Device, or HID protocol. This universal language guarantees the computer's operating system knows exactly how to read that data packet, recognizing precisely which byte is a click and which byte is an x-axis movement. Okay, so now you're probably wondering about battery life, right? With all this happening, how does it not die in a day? Well, modern mice use a highly specialized version of this tech called Bluetooth Low Energy, or BLE. To really understand how efficient this is, let's contrast it with a standard Bluetooth speaker. A speaker needs a heavy, continuous flow of audio data just to play a song. But your mouse, it only needs to send these tiny, text-like data bursts for the exact specific moments it actually moves or clicks. And this brilliantly illustrates why your wireless mouse battery can literally last for months on end. Because it only sends those tiny data bursts, the mouse actually goes into a microsleep state in the fractions of a second between them. It's taking thousands of microscopic naps every single day and then waking up instantly the very millisecond you move it. It's just a wildly impressive use of power engineering. Okay, let's bring it all together for one final sprint. We can trace the exact chronological loop right now. First, the optical sensor captures thousands of photos of your desk. Second, the processor turns those photos into coordinates and bundles up the data packet. Third, the radio signal broadcasts and hops across frequencies. Fourth, your computer's antenna receives the signal. Fifth, the OS driver reads the HID packet. And finally, number 6, the cursor actually updates and moves on your screen. So the really crucial point here is the sheer speed of this entire operation. That massive, action-packed data commute all the way from the physical desk through the microscopic photography, the complex math, the crazy radio channel hopping, and finally the digital rendering, that whole shebang happens in roughly 8 to 15 milliseconds. 15 milliseconds. That is significantly faster than the blink of a human eye. Which brings us to the end of our explainer. The next time you click on a link or scroll through a web page, I really want you to remember that tiny camera, the secret radio codes, and those hyper-fast digital postcards making it all happen right under your palm. It's incredible, and honestly, it leaves us with a pretty fascinating question. If a simple, cheap plastic mouse is doing all of this, what else on your desk is hiding spectacular, high-speed science right now?